Fall down. In the galaxy. Hello, butterflies. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear? Is my voice loud enough? Oh my god, it's such a long time that I didn't pop live at night time. Let's see. Can you hear the music of my voice? People? If there are 4 ghosts. Hello. Hello, hello. Can you hear my voice and the music? Can you tap the screen a little bit? Can you hear, yeah? Welcome, welcome. I still haven't fixed my microphone, but hopefully you can hear me. Thank you for tapping the screen. We're gonna relax tonight. There is such a good energy around. We're just gonna wait for a few people to bounce in. How are you doing? How are you feeling tonight? Are you all alive, people? Or are you dead? Thank you for tapping the screen so we can open the algorithm a little bit. You alive? That's good, because I felt I was here by myself at some point. I'm gonna change the energy a little bit of the room and all around you so that you can chill. It's early over there. Here is late at night. Hello, Selena. Hello, Australia. Hello, Bobby. Are we ready for some relaxing bedtime? I was thinking, people like stories, isn't it? Stories to cuddle up to bed. I wonder why we don't all have people that tell us a story when we go to bed. At 6 p.m. 6 p.m. is still okay. 7 in the morning, maybe not that much. But yeah, I think that it would be mandatory to have somebody that tells you stories when it's time to sleep. I think our minds, especially my mind, chat a lot when it's time to go to sleep. And instead, when you have somebody to tell you stories, your mind is like forced to stop. And the world just is like a different one. Instead of thinking about all the sad things that happen in your life, or all the things that doesn't work in your life, you can just imagine a different reality. I can tell some stories. What story should I say? Let me think. The thing is, the brain cannot tell what is real and what is not real. When the brain follows a story, if it's you describing reality or it could be fantasy, the brain doesn't really know. It's the feeling that you feel that puts you in another state of being. Oh, I'm glad you do, beautiful. It has been a while that I haven't done no Reiki, no ASMR, nothing I've done. But when I pop around, for sure I give you some. Oh, hello, beautiful. Yeah, I know many of you haven't seen me for a while, but I'm not dead. I know you missed me, but I'm here. Don't you worry. Oh my god, they're full of ash on my fingers. Look at this. Isn't it the most cute thing? It's like it's a frog. It's such a relaxing sound. I haven't got my microphone fixed yet. So I don't know, I cannot whisper as much until I don't get my microphone fixed. But you can still hear me kind of whisper tonight. Right? Crack, crack. Hello. Hello everyone. So, stories. What story shall we tell tonight? I'm good, thank you. The story of tonight, it's gonna be about a prince. There was a beautiful prince. He was living in the desert. He had a whole castle in the desert. His castles had the most high floors. It was like super high, and you could see the old stars. There was no pollution over there, you know. There is no light pollution in the desert, so the sky was super bright, and the stars were like shining in a very powerful way, in a way that you don't commonly see around. But in that point of the desert, the stars were just so bright, and you could see so many that the whole sky looked like glitters everywhere. It was strong for the eyes. And he was a very spoiled prince. He had everything he wanted. He had gold, and he had a lot of wives that he could pick, and he had gold and servant, and he had a lot of camels, and he would go around at night time with the camels in the desert. He used to bring his shisha, and he used to smoke a lot of ashes in the desert with his camels. And he used to bring his servant, and he used to build a tent under the stars and the moon, and he would smoke, and the slaves would be singing for him and playing guitars. And he used to do this every night, and he had the whole desert for himself. So he would make bonfires, and he would sometimes make little parties in the desert. And one day, he decided to sleep outside after one of these little parties. He played guitar and he danced, he sang, and it was really magical. And then he was tired and he couldn't be asked to go all the way back home. So he decided to stay there and sleep in the tent. Are you still awake, people? Do you like the story? Shall I carry on, or you don't like it? Tap the screen if you like it, so at least I know if I'm boring you or you like it. Okay, cool. You're like, carry on. I will. So this beautiful prince put me in the story. Okay, Lee, I will put you in the story. So he couldn't be asked to go home that night, and so he decided to sleep there. It was the most beautiful of the views. It was hot, it was warm, and the fire was kind of still on, and he was still looking at the stars. But it was about to become morning, so he wanted to take a little nap. And he went to bed. He went to bed in his own little tent that his servant built for him. And he heard a voice at some point while he was about to drift to sleep. And that voice was very strange. And so he decided to stay silent. And he was like, let me listen. What is this? And this voice was like a girl as she was singing. She was singing notes that were not exactly in tune, but the voice was really peculiar. Amore mio, la vita è un'estate, lascia stare i corvi lassù. Qua non c'è Dio, ma c'è incanto di streghe. Nel tuo letto c'è un anello che ho lasciato per te. The song was saying that somebody left a ring. Somebody left a ring in a bed. And whoever find the ring would have found the girl. So the prince stood up and he opened the tent and he ran out. But there was nobody there. But he looked up and on top of the tree there was this green diamond shining. It was like a magical diamond. And as soon as he noticed it, the diamond, poof, disappeared. And he heard the song again. Qua non c'è Dio, ma c'è incanto di streghe. Nel tuo letto c'è un anello che ho lasciato per te. And he heard it again. There is a ring that I left for you in your bed. And when you find it, you can have the gypsy girl. So the prince went mad. He climbed on the tree and he couldn't find any diamond. So he got upset. He was like, what is this? What kind of story or joke is this? What ring? So the morning came and he asked to his servant to fix the bed and take everything and go home. And while the servant was doing the bed, they found a ring holder. So it was a ring with a holder, but there was nothing in the holder. And so the servant went to the prince and he said, "You lost this, your highness." And the prince looked at him and was like, "This is not mine." And the servant said, "Well, it was in your bed." And the prince started laughing. And this is what the girl said on the song. She said, "I left a ring in your bed, and when you find it, I will be yours." But she was talking about the diamond on the ring, and that was only the ring. So this spoiled prince, he was like, "How am I gonna find it again?" So he went home, he went into the castle back home, and he told the story to his father. And the father said that there was a witch woman, and she was living in the desert, and everyone knew her because she would take the shapes of a cactus at night, or sometime she would take the shape of a tree. She was a nymph, really. She wasn't a witch. She was a nymph. She becomes a tree at night time. Or better, she becomes a tree where she's tired to be a human. So she just turned into a tree. The father said to him to stay away from her because she was dangerous and she was using magic and she knew way more shit than what she says. So the father said to the prince, "Stay away from her because she will deceive you. She will take everything from you. She's just looking for gold. And so to leave her alone." But the prince couldn't stop thinking. He could not stop singing at that voice. Qua non c'è Dio ma c'è incanto di streghe. Nel tuo letto c'è un diamante che ho nascosto, puoi pigliare solo tu. She kept saying, "There is a ring that I hide in your bed. Only you can take it though, nobody else. If you find it, it's yours. And with him, it's come, I will go. So you will have a diamond and a nymph." He could not forget the voice, the little prince, even though the father told him multiple times to leave that stuff. So, one sec, my phone is about to die. Oh, who are you? Who is this guy that popped up in my screen? I am telling a story and like naked guys just appear in my screen. That's strange. Right, so where were we? One sec, I have to put the stars out. Are you still with me? Are you still here, people? What, when I see butterfly or when I see some roses or heart, I know that you're still here. Cool. Lee, stay calm. You will arrive in the story, okay? No worry. No worry. The story is quite long. So, just, you will come. One sec. So what do you think until now? Do you like the princess or you think she's weird? She sang Qua non c'è Dio. It means here there is no God, but there is canto di streghe. There is the sound of witches. So she can be a bit scary, you see? And she keeps saying that here there is no God. There is just a song of witches. And nel tuo letto, in your bed, there is a ring that I left. And you are the only one that can find it. And he has a diamond on it. And when you find the diamond, you will have me. So anyway, the father, oh, thank you for the support, beautiful. The father didn't want the prince to get involved with this witchcraft. And the father said, I can give you all the woman that you want. But the son was just obsessed with the song. He couldn't stop hearing it in his ears. He couldn't stop hearing the song over and over. But the father was religiously worried. So he said, I'm gonna give you the most beautiful girls in the fucking country, in the continent, and you will not think about this nymph. And the prince, because he was a spoiled little fucker, essentially, he got all excited about it. And he was like, I'm gonna get a lot of girls. They will all fight and compete for me. So the father organized a massive party in the castle. And he called a lot of girls. He called girls that were literally breathtaking. Some of them were tall and blonde. Other ones were darker skin, and they were all dancing and like dressed really nice, and they would have parfum, and they were really well spoken and very good wives. They could entertain the prince and do all the work of the house, and they were just very beautiful women. So the prince was having this dinner, and all those girls were sitting around, and the king was like, so, have you found anyone that you like? And the prince was getting frustrated because they were so beautiful, and there were so many girls. And he was like, I'm not sure. They're just too many and too beautiful, and I feel like I will miss out. If I choose that one, I will miss out on that one and that one. And he couldn't choose, so his head became so frustrated, and he couldn't enjoy the party, he couldn't enjoy the meal, he couldn't talk with nobody, he couldn't even talk with the girls because it was just too much. So he went out and he decided to go and speak at the stars. Oh, hello, Andrew. And he went out and he looked at the stars, and they were shining as usual. And while he was out in this terrace, he heard the song again. And the song started. Amore mio, la vita è un'estate, lascia stare i corvi lassù. Qua non c'è Dio ma c'è canto di streghe, e nel tuo letto c'è un anello che ho nascosto, puoi pigliare solo tu. And the song was exact the same. There is a ring in your bed. And he saw this green diamond just flickering in the darkness underneath the terrace. But he couldn't see nothing else if not this green sparkle thing. So he ran to his own bedroom, and he found another ring. So he picked it and he looked at it, and from the ring this kind of entity came out. Let's say like the lamp of Aladdin and the genius, yeah? So he picked this ring with a hollow hole without diamond, and from that hole this genius came out. The genius looked at him and he said, "Can't you see that you're empty?" And the prince, because he was a spoiled little fucker, he looked at the genie and at this entity, and he said, Why do you think I'm empty? Why are you offending me? What are you talking about?" And the genius said, "Well, you're empty in your heart, you're empty in your ideas, you're empty in your ambitiousness, you're empty in creativity, essential. You do not have dreams, you do not have passion and fire running through." And the prince felt a little bit offended. He was like, "I don't understand why you're telling me this." And the genius says, "You can have everything you want in the world. You can have lots of money, you can have lots of servants, you can have lots of wives and models, and you can have gold, and you can be free of running in the desert. But you're empty. You're empty inside." And the genius said, "If you give something up, I will help you to find the nymph." And the prince said, "Who tells you that I want the nymph? I can have everything I want. I can have all the girls I want. I can have all the money I want. I can have everything. I'm the prince of the desert." And the entity in the bottle said, "Think about it. Take a few days' time. Think about my words. I'm telling you, you empty. And if you give me something, I will help you to find the nymph. And your life might become a little bit more interesting." The prince was really pissed off about that old conversation. He picked the ring and he chucked it under the window, outside the window, and he was like, "You go, witchcraft. I don't need nothing." So he went back and he went to bed with a few of the girls from the party. And while he was doing his naughty things with the girls of the party at nighttime, he felt the song again and again outside his window. He couldn't even enjoy a little bit of fun. Phil, shut up. And he was having his dirty fun, and he could still hear the song outside the window. Qua non c'è Dio, ma c'è incanto di streghe. Nel tuo letto c'è un diamante che ho nascosto, puoi pigliarli solo tu. So the day after, he was super angry when he woke up. He woke up like the devil. He went to his father and he told all the story. And the father kept asking him, like, "What are you doing to attract this lady? Why is this happening? Just leave her alone. You can have all the woman you want." And the guy was like, "Yeah." The prince was like, "I don't want her. I don't want her, but she's haunting me." She's everywhere. She's in my head. She's in the sounds I hear. She is in the magic I see. Because something weird started to happen to the prince since he was hearing the song. He started to dream more. He started to see new world. He started to see new possibilities, stuff that he would never have done before. He started to think about himself, doing different things, achieving different things, feeling new things, building or experimenting. He became more creative, and the world of the entity that came out of the ring started to go into his head. For the whole week, he could now hear the voice of the genius saying, "You empty, you empty and shallow, and you spoiled, and you're not magical." But it was getting him angrier and angrier. This prince felt all of a sudden that everything was upside down. He knew the world, it was so black and white, and it was so simple. Everything he wanted, he could have it, and everything was easy for him. With a blink of an eye or a flick of a fingers, he could have everything he needed. And all of a sudden, things were not quite the same. He started to see more magic around him, things that were a little bit surreal. He started to see green, flickery lights in the darkness, and he would hear the song of the lady, and he started to feel this desire of something else. And it was getting his head. He was getting mad about it. He was like, I can have everything I want, so why am I so troubled all of a sudden? What is the matter? So he tried to distract himself. He said, okay, I'm gonna go for a trip in the desert by myself with my camel and nobody else. And I don't want a servant. No one, not even one servant. The father was really against this. He was like, at least bring a servant. You can be in danger. You can get in trouble. And even the father knew that he was a little spoiled fucker. So it was like, if something goes wrong, you're gonna get in trouble. But he was just so angry for the words of the genius of the lamp. And he was like, no, I'm capable. I'm not empty. I can do this. I can do that. Let me go. So he went. He went in this trip in the desert by himself. And the first night, he found himself be really bored. Because if there wasn't something that entertained him, he would get really bored. And usually he had servant making music for him, or he would have servant literally creating a whole theater for him and act different stories out for him. And they would make a fire for him, and sometimes he had trouble. He couldn't make a fire that easy, especially without a lighter. So already the first night he realizes how empty he actually was if he didn't have entertainment. He could not entertain himself. And if there was not somebody doing stuff for him, he would just do it, but in a very like basic and shallow way. But the first night went by. He managed to cook something for himself. He managed to put the fire on and look at the stars and just get lost with his own company. But before he went to sleep, before his eyes was about to close, he felt the song again in the far, far. And he didn't want to run out and look, because he knew that she probably would have disappeared again. So he was like, I'm not gonna chase her. I'm just gonna lie here. And the more deep he was going with the sleep, the more the song looked like it was closer and closer. But every time he would open his eyes, the song would go further and further. So he decided to close his eyes, and he said, I will keep them closed and I will stay awake. And I want to see if the voice come closer and closer. So he did. He kept his eyes closed. And he stayed strong so that he could not fall asleep. And the voice was coming closer and closer and closer. And at some point, it was just the tiny, tiny, thin layer of the tent that was separating him from her. He could see the shadow. Oh, we don't have shadow here. Oh, we have shadow? Yeah, we have shadow. Let's do this. So, because the moon was really bright and he could see the shadow. Can we see the shadow? Let me see if we can see the shadow. So, she was moving her hands and she was singing. Qua non c'è Dio ma c'è incanto di streghe. Nel tuo letto c'è un diamante che ho nascosto, puoi pigliarli solo tu. And cause he felt that she was literally next to him, there was the tent separating. He kept his eyes closed and he said, "Why are you following me? I like you and I want to see you." And she stopped singing. And she answered. And she asked the prince, "What do you see? How do you imagine me?" And the prince was like, "I don't know. I never see you before." And she said, "Yes, you have." And the prince, because he was a spoiled little fucker, he was like, "No, I don't remember you." And the girl kept saying, "Close your eyes, go deep within. You will see my face, you will see my hair, you will see my arms, you will see my hand, and you will see the color of my eyes." The little prince tried to see, but he couldn't see. And he said to her, "The only thing I can tell you is that I know your voice. I've heard that voice before. And the only thing I know is that voice make me feel different. That voice make me feel like me and you have been talking before. Maybe in another life, maybe in another reality, maybe in a dream. But I remember that voice." She laughed. She laughed so much. She was giggling. And she turned into a plant. The prince couldn't hear her after the laugh. And he was asking, "Are you here? Are you still here? Are you here?" And there was no answer. So the prince opened his eyes and he went out. And there was a tree next to the tent. That tree was not there before. The tree was beautiful. It was in a weird shape. Very weird shape. So the prince knew that tree was her in reality. That tree was the girl. So he sat down there and he spent the whole day with her. He couldn't do nothing. He could just touch the trunk and he could just touch the leaves and he could just play with the branches. he could smell. He tried a couple of times to smell the tree. And then he started talking and talking and talking to the tree. He started telling the tree everything about his life at the palace, about all the girls that he's been hanging out, all the money that he had, all the things. And then at some point he started telling the tree about dreams that he used to have when he was really, really young. And all of a sudden, the prince remembered that when he was 3 or 4 years old, he used to escape from his own body. He used to astral project at night. He used to go somewhere. And he remembered by talking with the tree that he used to leave his body and he used to hang out with a girl in the middle of the desert. So something started to click in the little spoiled prince's mind. So he went to bed that night. He made a bonfire under the tree, and he sat telling story to the tree and speaking with the tree. He was drinking a little bit and got a little bit tipsy. And then he was too tired and he was like, okay, if you don't want to turn into a girl no more and you just want to stay in the shape of a tree, you can stay. I'm going to go to bed. So he went to bed, and while he was lying under the sheets, he found again a ring. Oh, it's okay, Hailey. Have a beautiful night. Sleep, okay? She will come, the witch, in your dreams, and she will sing you a song. Where have you been? I missed you. Well, many people miss me when I disappear. But I'm here. I'm here now. So, where were we? I got lost in my story. Where were we? He went to bed. Oh, yeah. He went to bed and he found the ring again. And this time the ring had a tiny, tiny, tiny diamond in it. It was so small that it looked like a glitter. And the genius came out again. Oh yeah, my life is happy. Thank you. The genius came out again and he said to the prince, "Hi, you found the little witchy girl, the nymph. But if you want her, you need to give up something." And the prince was tormented. He was like, "What do you mean? I don't need to give up anything. And she's already talking to me, even if she's a bit mysterious." And the genius kept saying, "You need to give something up. And you will find something that will blow your mind. And you will find something that you do not have." So the prince was getting all angry as usual. And he started rambling I can have everything. I have everything. Everything I want, I can have. What do you mean? And the genius disappeared again. The day after, when he woke up from the sleep, the tree was not there no more. And for the first time in long fucking time, the prince was crying. He had one tear coming up. And he's not a man that cries. He never cried. So he went back home to see the father, and he told the father the story. The father got angry and he said, I told you to leave this girl alone. And the father almost went a little bit all over the top, and he turned a little bit violent. He started snapping his fist on the table, and he said something slipped out of his mouth. He said, she almost got you once. I will not allow this to happen again. So the prince became all suspicious. He was like, what do you mean? What do you mean it almost happened once? But the father, the king, didn't want to say. So he just stormed out the room. And he said, I've got no explanation to give you. Just stay away from that woman. And just keep focusing on all the princes that I got you. And pick one. So the following day, the prince went out again with all these different girls from different counties, and he was dancing and talking with her and take them for walks, and all those princes were so shallow. They were so empty. And the more he was talking to them, the more he could hear the words of the genius saying, you empty. He couldn't believe that for the first time he actually saw why the genius would say he was empty, because he could see the emptiness in those princes. They would be so pretty and very well put together. But after talking about the weather in the desert, and after talking about how many ring and gold and houses they had, and after talking about what they're gonna do tomorrow, there was not much left to talk. And with every new princess, the story would repeat itself. They will speak about how many horses and camels. They will speak about all the things that they could do, clothes and travels. But every princess looked at the same conversations. It was like a CD that repeats over and over with just a different face. So the prince went in meditation one night. He closed his eyes and he was trying to understand what was all that about. The father kept insisting to see this specific girl, this specific queen or princess. She had the power of enchanting. Her way of talking, was very mellow and really soft. And the king knew that, she could have been the one to entertain his little spoiled prince. No, she was not Italian. She was German, but yet she was able to speak really mellow, like me. But yeah, so thank you. So the prince went out with this girl, and he was. Oh, you are. The prince was telling the father, yeah, you're right. She's very sweet, and she has a very nice voice, and I do like her. But he could not stop thinking about the other voice, the real deal. That song in the middle of nothing. And the more he was forcing himself to see this lady, the more he would be thinking the witch of the desert, the Nymph. So one night he stormed out in the room of his father, and oh my god, what was that noise? And the little boy was born without a mother. The mother died, the mother of the prince, immediately after birth. The father, the king, never told much about the mother to the little boy. He always said that she was lovely and she was nice and she was beautiful, and that's it. So the prince always grew up with not much knowledge about his mother. And he never made many questions because he was spoiled as fuck. So he didn't even have time to think about the mother. He was surrounded by the nanny and the babysitter and plenty of women and games of all sorts. He never really asked many questions, and for some reason though, that episode of that nymph in the desert and the fact that the father was pushing him to find a girlfriend so quickly, he started to think about his mother. He was like, I wonder how my mother was. And the truth is that the mother always know better. Some mothers, not all of them, but some. So the prince started to ask a lot of questions to the father about the mother. And the king pointed at a little dressing table, like a little table with all the earrings and the jewelry of the mom. And he said, I never showed you that, but if you want, you can open it and have a look. There are a lot of things in there that your mom used to wear, and maybe that will give you some feelings about her. So the prince opened the drawers, and kid you not, there was a fucking green diamond in it. There was a big, shining green diamond. When he looked at it, he heard the song again. But this time, only he heard the song. Nobody else did. Not the father, not the servant around the room. He looked at that diamond and he heard the song again. But this time the voice was not the same voice. It was a different voice. It still sounded familiar, but it was a different one. So he started singing, and the king started crying. The king dropped on his knees, and he could not stop crying. And he asked to the prince, "Who told you that song?" And the prince was like, "I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it from this ring." The king couldn't stop crying. He was like in a fucking waterfall of crying. But the prince was like enchanted. He just could not stop staring at the ring, and he just could not stop hearing this voice in his head singing this song. And the king explained, he said, "That is the song that your mother used to sing for me every night before to bed. Is the way I met her. She was in a garden, in a little oasis outside the desert in the more green part. When the king was young, he went there to buy some clothes for his, some tissue, fabric for his palace, and he heard this lovely girl singing, and is how he met her." So the prince understood that something there was very similar. His mother was a nymph, but the father never wanted to say that. So he started asking questions. A lot of questions. And the father didn't have any other choice to answer and tell the truth and tell what is all about. And the truth is that his own wife was a nymph. And to marry her, the king had to go through a lot of trouble, because she was turning into like a rose bush at night. The king didn't want the son to have the same trouble, because even though the nymph brings a lot of magic inside your life, they can also bring a lot of other things. So the little prince was fed up of hearing all those excuses and lies from the father. So he grabbed the ring and he ran outside. And he started screaming, He wanted to get the attention of the nymph, but she was nowhere near. She was nowhere to be found. So he went to bed with this ring, and was the ring of the mother. And he fell asleep. He fell asleep with the song that his mother used to sing. You did that, yeah? Good for you. Good for you. So he went to bed with this diamond, and he could hear a lot of magical song. And the day after, he opened his eyes and lay next to him, exactly next to him, there was this beautiful, beautiful girl. She had green eyes, super green fluo eyes. She had long, thick and dark hair, and they were shining of different kind of brown and red. She had a very olive skin, so olive that it almost looked green. She was very peculiar. She wasn't the normal kind of beauty that you see every day. The prince was so in shock to see this beautiful nymph just lay next to him. And as soon as she opened her eyes, she sang the song again. Oh my love, life is like summer. There is no God here. There is only songs of witches. I hide a diamond in your bed. Only you can find it. And now that you found it, you have me. And since that day, he found a diamond. And he found the nymph. They stayed together ever after. She would often turn into a tree still. The prince was preparing the wedding, and half through the ceremony she turned into a tree, and she stayed there for 3 days. When you marry magic, you don't really know what you're gonna marry into. But the genius appeared, and he said, "Thank you." And the prince was like, "Thank you for what?" And the genius said, "You finally gave up something." And the prince was like, "What? What did I give up?" And the genius said, "Well, you gave up a lot of things. You gave up stupidity. You gave up shallowness. You gave up things that not matter. And you got rewarded." They had kids. They had 2 boys and a girl. The boys didn't get the magic. Only the girl. She was another nymph. And she loved to turn into an apple tree. Well, it's late now. I hope you like the story. Yeah, 3 days. She would turn into a tree just for 3 days, and then she would come back. You liked it? Good. Did I make you feel relaxed? Is any of you passed out? I'm gonna ask one card. I'm gonna ask one card of the 3 oracle deck. Oh, Rodrigo, you back? You haven't sent me no donation anymore. Oh yeah, I remember that you almost wanted to burn my name once, didn't you? No, I'm joking. Andrew, you arrived late. The story was quite nice in the beginning, but I will upload it on YouTube. It's the story of a spoiled little prince and a nymph. Oh, look at this card we got. Let's see what it says. 22, 22, double number 4. And it's midnight. Cinderella is already in bed, people. What do you mean, where are you reading those stories from? They come from up here? How can I read? So, 22. Oil spindle. And when I read, you will notice that I'm reading because I read really bad. So, especially in English. This tree is coming to bring fulfillment, delight, sudden insight, energy, illumination, effort, completion of a task. This card offers you a sudden insight and clarity. This tree is about enlightenment. You are asked to remember that you are a being of light and to see the light in every person you meet, in every situation you enter. This tree brings illumination and insight. I know, I am a born storyteller, believe me. I could invent story all day long. Literally, I could invent all day long. So, when this card appears, it says to you, I am bringing you hope for the future. I sustain you with new light as you move toward your goal. I bring clarity and insight. I illuminate new possibility that perhaps you are not seeing. I am the promise of what which you long to create. I offer you the strength and encouragement to fulfill your goals. I offer you sweetness and delights. Become consistent and complete the tasks for your project. Get busy, and I will offer you sustenance to do the work that will ensure the fulfillment of your goals. We are like partners in business. If you apply energy into ideas, I will bring the plans to fruition. Notice what you already have and is full of beauty and content already. Take some time to enjoy the fruits of your labels. But when you're ready, you can plunge into the next project, and I will be there for you. I am the candle within you. What inspires you? How can you keep the light burning? How can you keep the spark even when there is great darkness? I help you embrace the change and appreciate your own inside and sudden flashes of knowing. Let me fill you with a sense of contentment and that realization that you have done well. I am Shadow Walker. We are all Shadow Walker. I am a Shadow Walker too. Hi. But yeah, I love storytelling, and I know in Ireland you have storytellers, but we come from many lifetime ago, my friend. I was telling stories to many people long time ago, probably 20 lifetime ago. I think I've done that most of my lives. Oh no, I'm not the nymph. I'm not a nymph. Even though I love nature, I do not turn into a tree. But is it Chris here? Woman who ran with the wolves. I might have run with the wolf. Stories allowed you to create a world that doesn't exist, and it allowed you to expand in ways that doesn't exist. So essentially, stories are expansion of things that you cannot actually possible. So it gives you the possibility to be and expand in places that otherwise you couldn't go. And when you truly plug in with the imagination, you can smell the desert. You can see the stars. You can smell the nymph. You can hear her, and you can hear the voice. It's not a story anymore, you understand? It's not a story anymore. Right, Cinderella, go to bed. Sleep well. Thank you for the likes, the support. Thank you for any donation that you want to send my way. And I will pop the story in my YouTube. And if you fancy to write a comment once it's up about how you found the story, I would appreciate that. But in the meantime, good night. Mwah. Good night, butterflies.